Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR418, and it's a monthly NXT update. And I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by Monty. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm making it. I'm surviving one day at a time, just like we all are. But I'm excited to be here, ready to talk about NXT. And my tone about surviving is really going to make a lot of sense when we get into some of this stuff we're talking about today. But anyway, this is cool. Ready to do it again, man. Nice, like I said earlier, nice to get back in the saddle. It feels like it's been a while. We go on a nice run of just doing pods all the time. It feel like, and then you get a break, and now we get to refresh ourselves on how good or bad these shows have been. So I'm ready to get into it.
Well, we're out there, and like I said, we did take a little bit of a break because of WrestleMania season, which we did, of course, review here on the podcast. But today we have 3 episodes of NXT and 6 episodes of NXT UK. And with so much NXT, we will do the latest on the network on next day. But we do have time for news, and we're going to start off with arrivals because WWE's version of future involves moving away from indie wrestlers and said teaching college athletes with the right look how to be stars. But the future just hasn't arrived yet because one of the latest signing was Carla Gonzalez, best known for being Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Rock C. We also had another few additions. We had Teresa Shalusa, who debuted on NXT 2.0 as Fallon Henley. Kayla Inlay has begun making a name himself on NXT Level Up. We got a 6'2", 305-pound force, Joseph Sculthorpe, who was with the Atlanta Falcons. 18-year-old Maddie Kingsley, and a 6-time state champion in Vault. Calix Hampton, 22-year-old former athlete. Mitchell Laverly, made a name for himself under Monkia. Mother Lover Jake Tucker, which you should keep that name. That is probably one of my favourite names. Right now, Bianca Corelli, the daughter of former superstar Santina Marella, and of course a few other names there as well. But you can see, we talked about this before, they're focusing on the athletes, but there's still a good crop as we talk about kind of Roxy. And even I've heard big things about Santina Morella's daughter as well. So it should be an interesting time.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was some, like you said, some nice names there. Bright futures, a lot of possibilities here with the roster going forward. And like you said, they may not be going primarily for the best independent talent like they were in years past, but they are peppering in, like you said, talent like that, veterans who know kind of what to do in the ring, but they're trying to now sprinkle a little bit of that WWE twist on it. And, honestly, the only thing I have to say about this is that you have to give a lot of this stuff time, because, I think, as you can see, they're going for athletic backgrounds, and that's always going to, give a lot of these people something to fall back on in the ring and all of that. But, at the end of the day, I just want to see how everyone comes together as characters and all that. I think it'll be nice to see how things develop with everybody when you think about some of these backgrounds. But when it comes to Roxy, I see nothing but big things depending on how they utilize her and where she goes going forward. It's really depending on where NXT 2.0 wants to go creatively. Because like you said, a lot of this stuff is very hit or miss that they do. So sometimes they know what to do and they hit it out the park, and then sometimes some of these people would just be left to flounder with not much of experience to fall back on. Roxy won't necessarily have that problem, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, but to your point as well, and kind of what it's saying is maybe WWE have said to themselves, well, we wait too long for them to be training as a wrestler to actually be put, in the bright lights. But I feel that that's an issue as well, with someone like Tiffany Stratton or Fallon Henley, as it was, being put on NXT with only a few months experience, and say, well, it doesn't work and that's it. Well, you need to go on TV when you're ready, and also kind of have a plan of action as well. And it's all well and good going, well, this guy's a college athlete, but if he's dog shit and so green that they take him off TV and then doesn't get another chance, that will stunt the development as well,
Exactly. And it's a lot of different stories. We have people like, you have some people who breeze right through development, and you have some people who who are great athletes who it took a little time for them to figure it out. You know, a lot of the great people that we can think of now who are on the main roster, like the Street Profits and even Bianca and all, like even Rhea Ripley, they, you know, it took time, you know, and they were presented to us way more prepared for the main roster, in my opinion, than some of these other acts that we've seen or newer acts. So I think they just should be given the proper time and actual care that a lot of these young characters need, especially when they don't have other like professional wrestling experience to fall back on. You know, I think it's really important that they give them time. And you know, some of these people are really seem like they're fast tracking up, you know, to the next level, and we'll see. Some of it will work out, but a lot of them probably won't.
Yeah, and this is a problem where it is then literally throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks. But of course, WWE will phrase that in a better way with certain talent coming through. But that was
Yeah.
the rivals. We move on to departures. Well, a possible departure first and foremost, because if the future of Flash Morgan Webster is up in the air. He worked short-term extension, but his contract was expiring soon. These negotiations were ongoing between the two. Interesting there, where you think with Mark Andrews and NXT UK, you know, he's got a role for him. But if he's not happy, I mean, he could expand elsewhere. But I think it's quite an interesting one because he probably believes more in himself at this moment in time.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard, honestly. But I don't know. Maybe feel like he's been doing the same thing for a long time, and or he sees that his future in WWE will probably be NXT UK at best. And you know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
maybe he feels a little stagnant that he know and you know can see that in the future. Like look at what's going on with a lot of look at what Pete Dunne and Walter are getting right now, like has gotten so far. Like it's looking kind of bleak if I'm like somebody like Flash Morgan Webster, if you really want to be honest. So maybe that's what's getting to him. I don't know, but yeah, I don't, you know, this kind of caught me off guard. I had to admit, because like you said, I kind of thought the whole, you know, subculture and Mark Andrews, I thought they had a decent thing going. But, you know, like you said, maybe he thought he's you know, he's stagnated and he wants to do his own thing now.
Well, this is the thing, and you know, people might say, "Well, you know, you've got a job," but the thing is, he's won tag gold with Mark Andrews. Would they be able to do that again? And like you said, if the two great UK champions in history are getting treated on the main roster, what is someone like Flash Morgan Webster going to get?
Right? How can you be optimistic? Yeah, it's hard to be optimistic looking at that, man.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple of departures are really tough to deal with. First up, it was Nash Carter, who was released by NXT UK due to the, well, as we say, alleged photos and relationship with Kimberly. Now, I don't really want to go into too much details because I find this a trial by Twitter, but WWE have released Nash Carter, so that's what we have to kind of deal with now, no matter what side of this argument we're on. And I feel sorry for Wes Lee as well, because MSK obviously just won tag gold at Stand and Deliver, and then this story comes out. Monty, what are your thoughts? Because this again was really, really quick from WWE, from when the story come out to when they.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was definitely something that made them, you know, pull the trigger. You know, it had to be something, you know, that made them have, you know, go ahead and go over and just like you said, do it really quick, really swiftly when they released him. And I agree with you as far as the details go. I have no clue about anything. I don't, like you said, that's a perfect way to put it. I wish I would have put it in those words on my podcast, because it is definitely a trial by Twitter. I've seen all types of things. And I just don't want nothing to do with it, because I have no, we have no way of knowing anything. Right? You have no way of knowing anything. So, but like you said, I felt the most work. That's just so bad for Wesley. Now it's like you go from tag champions to immediately, what the hell now? Like the definition of floundering or just lost now will be in that, because you don't know if they have any plans for you, if they even consider you a singles run. It's out of nowhere. Then it's stuff that he had nothing to do with too. So it's just yeah, it's rough. I really feel bad for him in this situation, but yeah, man, it was swift, and I feel like if for them to pull the plug like that, something's there. But I haven't, like I said, I don't know as
Yeah.
far as the situation goes and what's the reasoning for it. No, I have no clue about any of that. And yeah, man, it was just crazy because, like you said, right in the middle of something. I don't even know if the conclusion of some of the tag team storyline that we had going on couldn't have still had something to do with them going for. We don't
Yeah.
even know where they were going with that because it just just like that it was over. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
like I
it's
said,
crazy.
and it's not beyond WWE either to keep Wesley, under contract and not use him for a couple of years just so they can't reform MSK. Want to, if Wesley even wants to leave. I mean, no one's really spoken about that. And like I said, this situation, I'm sure, will be addressed by people over the coming months. And another departure, and this hit tough. This was a tough one because Kushida has decided to leave
Yeah.
WWE after his contract had expired. I just want to put into words how great Kushida was, because you and I were in the middle of this last year. The first 6 months of the year, he was the best wrestler on the planet, and they should have just kept that cruiserweight title on him. But instead, they changed it, created jacket time,
Roger
and
Strong.
it was just never the same, again, and I don't want to be WWE drop the ball, but Kushida, it's just a hell of a talent. And of course, Monty, you'll be happy as well. I say you'll be happy, but to be able to go back maybe to New Japan and AEW, he's now with Kushida are timeless.
Yeah, I'm happy. Another reason why I'm happy is because when he left New Japan originally, he left because he was doing the same thing as a baby face and the time splitter gimmick. He wanted to switch up, and they wouldn't turn him heel. They didn't want to lose him as a baby face or as the ace of their junior division. So he left and went to WWE, and WWE could care less. And not that they had to turn him heel, but what I'm saying is that he was basically doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So like the fact that you find out after, like you said, they kind of just left him alone after the cruiserweight title run, because like you said, he's having some of the greatest, the highlights of the show was when they just let him wrestle. Didn't even need a story for some of those title defenses he had. Just like going into it, like I forget, didn't Carmelo fight for that title? It was
Yeah.
someone. It was someone who debuted for that title, and and it was a great match. And I think it was Carmelo Hayes. But either way it goes, the point I'm trying to make is that Kushida was, like you said, on top of the world when they let him do what he does best, and that's just wrestle. But I am very happy, like you said, that he does get a chance now. If he's going back to New Japan, if it works out with AEW or whatever his next move is, Ring of Honor, whatever he wants to do. I hope that if he goes back to New Japan, he actually works out to where he can actually be a different character. I'm hearing rumors that that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna allow him to do something different, so that's great for at least for him. But WWE, they said no one, the higher ups, never even considered calling him up, and that's a shame. But I'm not surprised. As great as he is, I love Kushida, but we know what direction they're going in, and we know that just because you're smaller, you can really, really wrestle. That doesn't mean WWE will, or the main roster is for you. So yeah, if they couldn't get him up, they couldn't keep him in a great prominent position in NXT. I'm not surprised that everyone kind of saw the writing on the wall coming out. But I hate the fact that his last encounter in WWE is with Von Wagner.
Well,
Ugh.
Von Wagner is just,
Ugh.
don't get me started
Oh,
because,
he's coming to the UK. Oh, we'll
yes,
get to that. We'll get to that. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
that's what I'm
He's
saying.
over there, I think. Oh my
I
goodness.
don't want him. I don't want him. No one
Get a
wants
waiver.
Wagner. Anyway, so it's time to start the NXT update. Now, we have 3 episodes, and it is April 5th, and it's so hot off the heels. It's a fallout from Takeover. Don't call it a takeover. Stand and Deliver. And of course, we start with a highlight clip of Bron Breakker winning the title on Raw. So, what was the point of that at Stand and Deliver with Bron Breakker winning
Yeah,
the
just throw the middle
championship?
fingers up at me. Yeah. We don't want you to predict anything, right? We want James to be able to talk all his mess for winning 3 in a row. They just was taunting me, James. Like, I promise you, that's what this felt like. Ah.
Well, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe they did it. But
Oh, it's
Ron
coming.
Breakker,
Even more is coming, by the way.
Ron Breakker put over his journey to the gain in the NXT Championship.
Hmm.
But it was interrupted by Volta, and the ring general challenged the NXT champion, who gladly accepted tonight. The Creed brothers down to attack Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner, setting up a surprise match. During the match, Eichner walked out on Barthel, leaving him to take a torture rack slam and a low running clothesline to lose. And then two men attacked Julius and Brutus Creed from behind with steel chairs for revealing themselves to be Pretty Deadly, the former
Yay.
NXT
Yes, boy.
UK Tag Champs. Yes, boy. Yeah. So we talk about the match first because there's a lot to dissect here. It
Yeah.
was a really opener with Barthel cut hard way. Imperium are done. Is it only WWE can a team lose the gold on one show and then the next show split up?
Just completely done. No explanation. It was so random too. Like it was probably the worst executed walkout that I could even think of because it just didn't make sense. Like I thought they were gonna do the spot, and Eichner just said, "Nope, not gonna do it this time," and he jogged and then he walked off and just left, and no explanation. He never promoted about it. They just no, they was like, and then that, you know what happened to me because I've been looking at rumors, so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they did say they didn't like Eichner. I guess he just said screw work, screw it. You don't like me, I don't care.
Well,
But anyway,
the positive from that is how good are Pretty Deadly, you know,
yeah,
because we finally we talked about they are main
it was
main
great to
roster
see them.
ready. It is, and they are thoroughly entertaining, and they will be a highlight on NXT. I actually kind of when we lost Imperium, which is difficult to take,
Yeah,
but since the changes, we care less. But now Pretty Deadly. We'll get onto the changes for them in a little bit, but we saw Cameron Grimes come out explain why it meant so much to him to win the championship. He promised to be a fighting champ, and his first challenger arrived in Solar Sikoa, and we get a bloodline reference as well. My only problem with Grimes is don't make him bland because he had such goodwill and like, with kind of great baby face that he was. Just don't turn him bland now. I don't want to happen.
yeah.
And then we see Hudson and Loomis ended in count out, and I hate the whole story. I mean, that was stupid chance. I mean, the crowd are telling you, the people that
It
are
was
there
dumb.
I tell you, but I did love Wade Barrett referencing the core and Big Zeke on commentary because I don't think that gets mentioned enough. Really, one of the forgotten groups, the former
Hey,
Intercontinental Champion, yeah, and ECW
Barrett and
champ.
Vic are saving. Barrett and Vic saves this show constantly with their banter. Like they tried their heart out to make some of this stuff entertaining. It's because this was I wrote down. It's funny how I was like I felt like we both were into Index when the way was around, and I'm just ready to skip everything they do now. Like I don't even want to watch it anymore. Like I just know it's gonna be pointless, and this was even more pointless because it was a double count out. It didn't even make sense how they set the spot up. I don't even know what to call it, man. We can move on.
Well, NXT tag titles up next. Kai and Gonzalez versus Toxic Attraction. Of course, Jaxie and Gina guessing they would become the new champs at Stand and Deliver. Well, it didn't last long because Wendy Choo tried to get involved again, but Mandy Rose took her out. Toxic Attraction targeted the knee of Gonzalez, particularly a chop block behind the referee's back to start the Toxic Shock for the win. And yes, your new NXT Tag Team Champions, Toxic
You see what I
Attraction.
mean?
And after the match, Kai ran backstage alone, throwing around everything in the path. She warned Rose that she was not safe, and this was very reminiscent of what Monty did after the match as well. But it was fun though.
Fair. That's fair because this pissed me off. Thinking about it pisses me off. Like the match itself was not that bad. I thought it actually was better executed match than what they did in Stand and Deliver. Sometimes, like the actual stuff that they did, like in the match, but the finish just ruined all of that. Because what was stopping that from being the finish Saturday? It was literally the same thing. Wendy comes out, and all you need is Mandy to be there for her girls, and we don't get those You know what I mean? Like, it's literally the same finish, it felt like. So I'm just like, okay. So they come out here, they have the exact same match, damn near. And then you get, like, why did you give them the belt anyway? And then why did you give Kai and Rocket belts? And then it's like, it was confused. Like, I'm just beyond confused. I'm talking right now and confusing myself again because of how bad this was to me. Like, yeah, I knew the main roster probably was calling Rocky at this point, but it was just like, still, like, I hated the way they did this. I just hated it. Like, maybe if it was done better, I probably wouldn't even mind it and just, all right, okay, that's just God being petty, right? But no, this is.
It's them saying, look, don't watch any special event we do.
Yeah, Stand and Deliver was pointless. Completely pointless. Like, everything that happened at the end of that show, that whole podcast, don't even listen. Like, if you listen to it, it wouldn't even make sense how we ended that now.
Just listen to Grimes winning the North American title. That's all that kind of happened.
Yes, that's the only thing in that show.
Yeah, the only thing. Well, in an interview, MSK welcomed all challengers from the Creed brothers to Pretty Deadly. Grayson Waller interrupted to challenge the champions with Sanga once Waller was healthy.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
This whole segment is funny now.
I thought I missed saying with Sanga and Waller in a couple of weeks' time as well, but we'll get onto that in a second.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
We've got AJ Galante hosting the ceremony for Tony D'Angelo to become the new Don of NXT. This was awful. Why? The expression, if you look up in the dictionary, deer in the headlights, you will see a picture of AJ Galante. This was unbelievably bad.
I don't like the NXT fans because some of it, like Braun Breaker was speaking, I thought they didn't have to be like, why were they being disrespectful? That was pointless to me. Same thing with it was the other segment with Grimes. Whatever. You're right. That promo was a little bit bland, but I thought, okay, come on now. Like, why are you doing this now? But anyway, this one I understood completely because I just was like, what is going on? This is pointless. That entire segment, I was waiting to figure out, why are we doing this? It was so unnecessary. It was just filler. It was the definition of trying to fill time. Everybody saw through it. It was bad.
Yeah. Well, in the parking lot, Santos, Escobar, and Legado congratulated Don, but also warned him to stay out of Legado's business. Nikita Lyons beat Lash Legends, and people are perverts. This probably got one of the biggest cheers of the night as well. Main event, NXT Championship, Bron Breakker versus Volta. And Breakker was the first man to dominate him early, but his lingering injuries from the past weekend made it hard for him to stay on offense. Survived an onslaught. The champion lifted up the ring general for the military press power slam for the win. And then afterwards, Rick Steiner appeared on the Titantron, tied up by Gacy and in a cage. I am not making that up.
Yep.
First and foremost, let's look at Volta's last NXT match. This was the great powerbomb, near fall, and splash, which has beat Pete Dunne before, with Breakker looking well. But honestly, man, Gacy is just such a massive step down.
Yes. Immediately, just like, I couldn't believe that they were like, I was like, what the hell did Gacy do to give him a title shot? Honestly, like, what has he done that earns him this spot right here? And then they showed him with his father. I'm like, okay, so this is what he's gonna do. But still, like, anyway, no, it didn't make a damn lick of sense to me. The match, like you said, was cool to me. I thought it was fine. But the thing is, you would assume beating Volta would have felt bigger, but it didn't have any heat because it was out of nowhere kind of, and we know that this was gonna. I don't know if they knew Tuesday was gonna be his last match, but as we can see, that was his last one. So I wish it was more groundbreaking because the Volta I think of, or what I mean, he was unbeatable. Pinning him was monumental. So doing the Gacy stuff right after that, big victory for Breakker also, I didn't like that either. Like, I wish they would have just faded to black, let Breakker stand tall as champion right there. And then if you want to do the Gacy stuff, do it next week or something. But maybe Rick wouldn't have been around. But they could have filmed it and aired it next week or something like that. But anything, or not do it. But if you're gonna do it, don't do it there.
Imagine the phone call on and it's Rick Steiner answers. He's like, "Hello," and he goes, "Oh, hi, this is Rick. This is WWE. Do you want to be at Stand and Deliver on Saturday afternoon? Your son's in the main event." "Oh yeah, of course." And I tell you what, Rick. Do you want to be in a Hall of Fame? And, we'll give you the Hall of Fame ring. "Oh, that's excellent. Your brother can be in as well." And, Rick, whilst we're talking, Tuesday, is it all right to be handcuffed and put in a steel cage? I'm just wondering if that's the kind of, is that okay? And Rick's like, "That's fine. That's my normal week anyway." Like, what the fucking hell?
Anything for your kids, man. Anything for your kids. That's all I got to say. Doing this for his son, but yeah, this is bad. This is bad. And you know what? It's about to get worse.
Well, we start April 12th with a good thing. NXT North American Championship, Cameron Grimes versus Solo Sikoa. It's a really good back and forth clash, and Trick Williams pulled Solo off the top rope, while the Street Champion of the Island planted him with a diving splash with traction. Now Cameron Grimes took the cave in for the victory. Trick and Hayes attacked the NXT North American Champion afterwards, and Amell reluctantly let go of the title we lost just 10 days prior. But this was a fun opener, and again, I think the fans were more into Solo than they were Grimes, which I was a little bit surprised about.
Yeah, I wrote down. I said these Orlando fans are gonna turn Grimes heel, like immediately after winning for his father. Like, I get it though. Like, Solo's presented awesomely, and they didn't he's not a bad guy the way they've been presenting him. He's a tough guy. He's a fighter, but he hasn't proven to be a bad guy on television. So I kind of can understand it when you book it this way. But I agree, it's kind of surprising just how over Solo is by comparison to Grimes after, like we said, all the great character work he's done. But this is great. Like you said, this is the NXT 2.0 as of late at its best. The North American title has been, when Melo had it, it was the highlight, and I think it's continuing on with Grimes. And I wanted to this made me wish that the North American title was kind of like the television title of old, or TNT title, where you just got great matches like this all the time, like more stuff like this and less Gacy stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with WWE, or professional wrestling, it's the only place where you say, "I did this for my father," and people go, "Fuck you!" Like, it's crazy.
True.
We've seen it so many times. It's like, you've got what you wanted. You're happy. Fuck you. Like, this is why the chase is, we talk about it with, with wrestling with a baby face. And that's why it's amazing someone like Adam Page has still got the kind of response he's got. But we're not talking about AEW. Right. We're talking about NXT, unfortunately, because then we see Joe Gacy burning Rick's Hall of Fame ring. But my only hope is give Joe all the kind of shit ideas that you have for Bray Wyatt, and all do them all. And then if Bray eventually comes back, you'll be out of all that shit, and he can just do what he wants to do. That's my only feeling about it. This kind of cult leader bollocks is just shit. I can't.
Yeah, it's bad. It is so bad, and I don't even know. You know what the worst part is? Now it's starting to get like you said, culty and weird. He was always weird, but original. Like, it seems like they're just picking it up to the next level now. And I know they're trying to get heat and trying to make this more like this. Is honestly, if you think about everything Breaker's been doing, this is probably the most personal feud he's had. It's a damn shame that it's just hard to take it seriously because of how over the top they have Gacy in this character. It's just It's only going to get worse, though. We're not even.
It is going to get worse. The thing is, and I know it's next week's episode, but if it didn't work for Hogan and Warrior back in '98, it's not going to work for Gacy in 2022, is it? But again,
I got deja vu, brother. Deja vu.
Von Wagner made light work of Jiro after attacking Jacket Time backstage. Bye-bye, Kushida. Jiro was thrown into the crowd. And if you want to see someone thrown into a crowd, because people were going like, "Holy shit," Watch Bam Bam Bigelow do it to Spike Dudley, because when you see that, then you go, oh, and don't worry, they weren't real fans. Everything was fine there. And then the NXT Women's Championship match, Mandy Rose versus Dakota Kai. Toxic Attraction caused a distraction, which rhymed, and that allowed the Women's Champ to connect on a bicycle knee to win. I mean, Kai doesn't need singles gold to be remembered as possibly one of the greatest in NXT, in all seriousness,
Yeah, she has a track record. I don't want to say this because it may sound like a dish, but it's like she's almost like at this point a Natalia of NXT. Like she's done it all, anything that you can do, and been around, and like you said, she don't necessarily need it. It would be nice, but I didn't give her a second thought of winning it though, unfortunately. And I think a lot of her matches, I think this match showed me, honestly, when it comes to Mandy Rose, how well they've done in her big title matches of hiding her weak spots, if you see what I'm saying, because they've been giving her multi-women matches and other scenarios to, put the title on the line, to where Mandy do not have to be the main focus for the entire match. In this match, the longer it went, you can kind of see some of her shakiness still is there. But, this is still solid. And, if Kai was presented more as a threat consistently, maybe it would have had more drama. But I'm it's predictable, but that finish is overdone at this point. I think at this point, Toxic Attraction, that's just everything. That's the only way that they're going to continue to win. And it's like, all right, at some point, somebody's going to have to, figure this one out. So we'll see how long it continues to last. But, this was fine.
Yeah, I'll agree there. And Tony D tried to pay off Legado del Fantasma as a peace offering, but Santos Escobar refused. Cora Jade then refused to give up on her dream to be NXT Women's Champion. And we spoke about Natalya just a minute ago. She interrupted, telling her she was the future of the NXT Women's division, for slapping her in the face and putting her in the sharpshooter. And Natalya probably got the most positive. She probably got the most positive response that she's had in years.
Ever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It felt like ever, right? Like, that was great. I understood why she teared up for a change, but I also can understand why she started to smile. She was smiling so radiant because she knew she had him. That's why it really got her, I think. Because she's like, because I know what I was about to do. I was waiting for the hook because this was a little too lovey-dovey, but it was great though. I like it because it kind of played off real life. Because Cora Jade really is someone who is a fan of the longer tenure ladies like Natalya and AJ Lee. I'm so happy that she name dropped AJ Lee. It's like, I don't know why they act like she's a ghost around there. Like, she was great. But, anyway, like, for real, like, she's one of the names that should be mentioned all the time. She's really, really good in a time when women's wrestling was not the focus at all. But anyway, it's great to see Natalya. Like you said, this is very, very positive for her. And I really love that twist, man. That slam, I just thought it was really, really well executed. Like, so 2.0 really screws up a lot of these promo segments, but this was well done in my opinion. And, here we go once again praising a veteran coming back to 2.0. And maybe that just show you the experience level of most of the people that we're watching now, I guess. But, yeah, the veteran came back, knocked it out the park. I loved it.
The thing that worries me, though, is that we've seen a lot of wrestlers, or, now with pictures of wrestlers, MJF with CM Punk, Kevin Owens with Stone Cold, Cora Jade with Natalya. Makes me worried the picture I took with Drew McIntyre that he's going to come hunt me down soon. It's just like,
we're definitely getting old, man. We're definitely getting old. Like, all of our, before you know it, Roman Reigns photos will be popping up. Like, I'm serious. Like, it's crazy. We're almost there.
Oh God, it is scary. And Zion Quinn defeated Draco Anthony, and then the NXT Tag Team Championship Gauntlet match. Brutus and Judas Creed started out first and got the first fall of Woken Wild and Raul Mendoza with a low running clothesline. Brutus got a surprise low running clothesline on Brooks Jensen to eliminate him and Josh Briggs. Credit to Brutus recovering after being put through the announce table, which was a really good looking bump. Indian Braun Sanga dominated until Brutus lifted him from Olympic Sam to set up another clothesline elimination. And then Pretty Deadly came out and beat down the Creed brothers, taking advantage of the wear and tear of opponents. after multiple kickouts. Pretty Deadly won with spilt milk on Brutus. Yes, your new NXT Tag Team Champions. Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Side check. We have got new champs. We should say there's a couple of changes, Monty, before I let you know. Del Toro was wrestling actually instead of Raul Mendoza because we've made a changed name. And of course, Lewis Howley and Sam Stoker, we hardly knew ya. It's now Kit Wilson and Elton Prince.
I knew those names were different, bro. I knew those names were different. I wasn't even paying attention at first. And I said, Kit Wilson. I'm like, no. Nobody was named Kit.
So, yes, I actually popped for this. Pretty Deadly, new NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, this was good. It made me wonder though. I was like, man, was this really the plan? Were they always the attackers of the Creed Bros? Or like how would this have played out if MSK was still the tag champion? I really it's funny, like it's one of those what if now that we'll never really know, or if it had anything to do with the tag belts. Like would this just been a way to just make them just allow them to debut? Would have been like costing them a rematch maybe against MSK. I don't know. Either way it goes, this was cool. Like you said, the Creed Bros, man, they really, really, I thought, looked like stars here, man. They shined. And you can tell that they're who they're trying to build this newer tag division around. I love Legato, but there's no way in hell they were going to win. No one is probably better at looking great in defeat than them. I'm almost like sure about that. But I must say though, this was like I said, a really, really fun Gauntlet match. Like Gauntlet, but it wasn't as lengthy as a lot of them tend to be. So they got a lot done. But I'm gonna have no problem with Pretty Deadly walking away as tag champions. It's fresh, and like we just talked about with the chase with the Creeds. Now they're, back on the chase because honestly, look at all the stuff the Creeds have been through. Like they get screwed here. They won the Dusty Cup and had to, make a multi-man title match instead of actually getting a straight up title match. So like, yeah, when they finally get the payoff and win the titles, down the line, it'll be great for them. But this was great in my opinion.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Before the last NXT, we had a couple of more of name changes because WWE are just fucking with us. Casey Cantizano's new name is Katana Chance, which sounds very Bond-like. The worst one, Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray's new name is now Alba Fire.
You serious?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. What are they doing, eh? What are they doing? They really are.
Just move
they're
on.
Ruining it.
Just move on. I can't. I have nothing to say.
Well, we'll move on. Last NXT, April 19th, and I thought I was watching NXT UK with Pretty Deadly celebrating their victory.
By the way, they don't watch NXT UK, do they? I'm sorry, but they don't watch, do they?
Well, you get interrupted by grizzled young veterans who were the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions as well. And a brawl broke out and cleared the ring. And then Bron Breakker took the ring, called out Joe Gacy, the Hill Motley NXT champion, and told him to come find him. I mean, I love the tag stuff, but the Gacy stuff is the shits. But it is going to get worse. We have warned them all. It is going to get worse. You can take Sarai getting sacrificed by Tiffany Stratton. I mean, this was beyond a joke with Sarai.
Like, just screw that new character, right? Like, it just done nothing for her at this point, and then it's about to get worse. Moving, like, look at the rest of the women's division. Like, what the hell does Sarai actually rank? She's like, come on, man. Like, it's only getting worse because they're adding talent. So it's just If you're below Stratton, that says a lot right now. And just not a notable way to start the show anyway either. Like, why the hell would you start the show with this?
Well, when the fuck did Grayson Waller and Sanga split? Did I miss?
Like, I did not know anything. I'm glad. I thought you saw something. You would have knew. Like, cause I know you watch pre-shows, but I know it hasn't been a pre-show. Like maybe you saw a YouTube, a WWE.com exclusive or something. I don't know, because this was random as hell. I had no clue that he was mad at him for getting pinned in the Gauntlet match. Like I said, is that the reason why he lose one match?
The thing is, it's like, right, we're going to make a tag team. Why? To split them up. It's like, why make tag team then? You know, oh no, we've got rushed. To. Oh my, and Waller pinned him clean as well. Yes. And I know, like we said, the Indian Brawl showman's not great, but fucking hell, cut his legs out much. Jesus.
That's why I said maybe Song is being fast tracked because they want another big guy on the main roster. So they just splitting them up with Waller to get him out of here. But I don't know. That's not a way to do it if you are going to split them up. But yeah, this was just so rushed. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing when they get to work. I think they just, like you said, just spitballing at this point, man.
Fucking unbelievable. Tag action next. Gradual young vets and Legado making it work. It was a pure spot fest from start to finish, flying by to each other. Key moment in less than 4 minutes that they got. But luckily, NXT was then saved by Santos Escobar versus Carmelo Hayes. This was a great match, but you still have to have NXT 2.0 silliness with two blokes in suits showing up and blasting Escobar with Melo hitting the leg drop. But what I thought was quite cool, actually, was Solo Sikoa coming out, laying out Trick and Melo, reminding him it's going to be a triple threat match for spring breaking. Don't even start with spring breaking.
Nope.
This, again, North America title, you said it, Monty, and you're right, shining light of the show.
Yes, the only gem. It's like the only gem here, man. Because this is amongst just, I don't even know what to call it at this point. And I mentioned earlier that Legado was the best at looking good in defeat, but GYV, in NXT,
they've not won in 2 years.
But they don't look good at this point. They just get defeated, and I don't know. They're taking the crown at this point, though, man. They came out and gave a passionate promo. I was like, okay, we're going to finally take them seriously. They feel insulted that another NXT UK team and tag champions before them. And nope, just lose. That was sad. But anyway, the match with Hayes Escobar, we knew it would be great, but I also just was expecting the nonsense because I knew Escobar had stuff going on with D'Angelo. And, they're now we're going to have a turf war, it seemed like they're hinting at with this. And I'm not, whatever.
It's like Tony D is ruining all our favourite wrestlers, like Pete Dunne,
Ciampa. Yeah. It's true.
Getting handled on these. Another man who's got a winning record, a bit like Grizzle Young Vets at the moment, is Roderick Strong. But he promised Malcolm Bivens that he would start making examples with anyone who questioned his vision for Diamond Mine. So looks like they're tag team. We're going to see it split sooner rather than later. And then Natalya versus Tatum Paxley. Paxley fought hard against a veteran, but she was chipped face first, and this set up Natalya to lock in a sharpshooter to win. This was all right, I suppose. And Nathan Fraser is on his way to NXT 2.0 to lose to Grayson Waller, presumably, because that's what
I was just about to say.
Get
I honestly, it's funny. I was excited. If you remember a few weeks back, I was like, yeah, A-Kid in NXT 2.0. Nope, I'm not falling for it this time. I'm falling for it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We've learned the hard way. And then someone that's learned the hard way as well was Wes Lee, explaining his hesitation of the last few weeks. We brought out Zeon Quinn to challenge him. And I see Zeon Quinn and I just see Vince McMahon getting hard because that's the type of guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Praise and priest.
That's what he wants.
And everything like this. If you want to look at what an actual sacrificial lamb is, it was Wesley in that matchup. And then we saw a vignette for Roxanne Perez, who's supposed to debut next week. However, Toxic Attraction mocked her and said it would debut against JC Jane. Wendy Chu appeared on the Title to showcase her hard work redecorating Toxic Attraction locker room, which allowed Perez to hit a sunset flip bomb for the win. So we talked about Roxy earlier. This was a great debut. But before I get your thoughts, Monty, I've got to say credit to JC Jane because she has changed my opinion. When Toxic debuted with Mandy Rose, I was not sure, and they're a highlight usually each show, and Jane has showed out in recent matches as well. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, as somebody who honestly don't like, the only thing I don't really like about Toxic Attraction is just how sexualized for no reason they have to be. Yes, they are attractive.
I
It's
didn't
simple,
notice.
but
I didn't.
yeah, exactly. Like you didn't know,
No.
like let's just stop trying to act like First of all, your average wrestler is not. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go down that alley. The point I'm trying to say is that if they tone that down and just didn't have to do it, like it's in the name, first of all, so you don't have to just keep telling this, and everybody fawns over them. Like if they could get some of that out the way and just do what they do, be the great heel persona that they are. Like you said, they're all solid. JC's. I agree, definitely more. I think Gigi is the best in the ring, but JC is
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
right there. And then and Mandy is probably the best character.
Mandy's a few
at
steps
least
back, but
yeah, she's a few steps back in the ring, but she does a really good job at playing this confident champion character. I will say that she's not. I don't like. She does a good job there, at least decent enough. So they, like you said, a very much highlight. The women's division has been, not deep, and that's not their fault. But like you said, every week Toxic Attraction is usually pretty good. And I thought Jessie Jane was really good here with Roxy, like you said. And I've watched her in the past. I'm not an expert on her work, but I was definitely impressed with what she had a chance to show. And this was cool. The distraction finish, was what it was. But Roxy's future in NXT can be, really good given time, if given time.
yeah, there's a real kind of AJ Lee feel about her as well, and
Yeah.
also it wouldn't be NXT 2.0 without an upset victory on an update. So at least we have got it.
Yeah.
Santos then found a fish on his car, and then Indy Hartwell Persia Pro to
Why was
tricked
this main eventing?
Well, I don't know, but they tricked him to agreeing for an NXT tag match.
Yeah.
Out. Thanks to a few miscommunications for the challenger and the culling of the champions, Pretty Deadly had the number. Elton Prince isolated Hudson and caught him with a big boot off the distraction of Kit Wilson to take the win. But this is probably the first time I have found something that Index and Hudson is doing as entertaining, and Pretty Deadly saved the storyline. And I'll tell you something else, Prince was great in this, or the blonde one, if people are getting used to him. Come star in this matchup, and I really do feel there was big upside of this. But like I said, why was it a main event?
Yeah, it wasn't like it was well built, or anything. Like it was just that one, kind of like tricky promo segment, and then here we go, title match. And it was just like I said, soon to me, but it's fine. I thought it was be a fun to watch match, man, and but I was, of course, with like I just said, not much build. The champs retaining was always expected, and this was good though to me because like Dex and Duke making Dex and Duke a team, actually wasn't that bad, honestly. So I thought, like you said, this fine. Was it main event worthy? Probably not, but I think, like you said, Pretty Deadly they have a formula. It feels like this is right up their alley of what they tend to do, which is outsmart the baby faces usually. And this was good though. But I didn't. Yeah, that ending of the show. Whew, we gotta get there because it's
the
like I
lights,
said. Yeah. Because
the
you know what,
lights
I
went
actually
out.
wish that was the actual main event. I actually wish that Pretty Deadly just ended the show with them celebrating their win.
Well, the lights went out afterwards for revealing Joe Gacy on the stage. Ron Breaker charged up to him and agreed to a title match at Spring Breaking. So Gacy returned his father's Hall of Fame ring. Gacy then knocked Bron off the stage, and as he fell, a group of hooded men surrounded Breaker to end the show. I mean, what
I
the
just wrote
fuck?
WTF. Yep. WTF. Like, what was that? Just like, what was it, man? The like you said, the mirror shots and all of that. Like all everything about this. He became a horror movie villain and a bad one at that. A bad horror movie villain, not like overnight. He got supernatural powers now. Like you said, he's always been a weird guy, but he has never had any of this. Now he got, I guess, druids. Like I don't even know why I'm thinking about it even this deep. Just it was just bad. It was bad. NXT was bad because of this. This is for the NXT championship, James.
Well, the thing is
Ugh.
like if it was Andre Chase in this situation, it might make a little bit more sense because you could say Chase U was a cover for this kind of underground, group that
Yeah,
they've got
that's fair.
together,
Mhm.
or some association with people. But it just feels like, like I said, with this kind of the leader all before, and this is why the Wyatt family never worked because of shit like this. And as we've
Right.
mentioned, when it comes to like supernatural stuff, the only wrestler that seems to ever made it work was like the Undertaker,
Right.
because otherwise you just can't believe it, and it makes Bron look like a
Oh,
fucking idiot.
he looked so bad. And that's what I was about to say. Like this man attacked your father and you're standing this close to him and you don't just tear him up and take your ring forcefully. Like I was like, what is stopping him from just beating him down? Like why are they talking? Because at this point it's personal enough to where they shouldn't be talking. He's tortured your father according to this storyline. So why is this still anything to debate? So
I
it just
just,
made
yeah.
no sense whatsoever in general, besides the supernatural. And then once you throw the supernatural on top, it's just laughable, you know?
Well, what I ever find laughable as well is the fact that people might have accused us of being too much into NXT, especially maybe year and a half ago. I don't think we're pulling any punches today.
Oh no. You can't. This is bad, man. Like just ask me what I feel overall, because I almost wrote a paragraph.
So what are your thoughts on NXT, these 3 episodes that we have reviewed since Stand and Deliver?
NXT has been horrible. You know, horrible in a lot of ways. Over this recent batch of episodes, the NXT title story is, I couldn't even come up with another word other than horrible, but it's just atrocious. Whatever you have, thesaurus me some more words for horrible, because that was just that bad. Like I don't even know what to say about it. It's almost unfathomable how far. Like I'm begging for Dolph back. I'll take another Dolph rematch. You know what I'm saying? Like, please,
Mm-hmm.
anyone, like, or just send another NXT veteran, like, sign Bo Dallas and just say oh yeah, I used to be NXT champion, and they just fight just for no random reason. Now that was just me standing out for Bo Dallas, but I have no other reason to tell you to sign him other than the fact that I like Bo. But anyway, besides that, it's been bad. Other than the North American title and Natty and Core, I don't mind what they're doing right now. I wrote that down. That was okay. And but they're obviously thin on challengers in every division other than the North American title, really. Like even in the tag division, if you really want to talk about it, Legato, the bar brawlers, Jensen and Briggs, and let's see, trying to think, like is it really just 3 other teams when you got the Creed back? Like that Gauntlet match, is that really their entire division? Because I really can't think of anyone who consistently is vying for the tag titles. You remember So anyway, not the deepest tag division, especially without MSK now. Not the deepest, in the women's division, either side, tag or main women's title. So right now, their only strong point is the North American title. And the fact that they do a really good job of having multiple things going on in their women's division. That's the only thing I will give them. Like, even if it has nothing to do with a championship, it's, it's something. Even if the story is not great, it's something going on there. But yeah, NXT was almost unwatchable, man, other than North American Championship angle. It was like,
Yeah,
really, you can almost throw away everything else.
Well, it makes me worried for, like I said, spring breaking, which will be the next update, because it will be
Yeah.
Joe Gacy versus Bron Baker. And I do not put it past NXT to have. I mean, I know the event's called Breaking, but I still wouldn't put past them to put on Joe Gacy if they want to bring Bron up,
And
because this is.
wasn't it Randy Orton who said recently these kids don't know what the hell they're doing or something? Like, if that was true, or what, if that's something that he supposedly said about NXT 2.0, it's really starting to look like it.
Yeah,
So
it really is. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
it's bad.
tough time.
Yeah,
But we do have a saving grace when it comes
let's
to
get to it,
NXT.
please.
Because of course it is NXT UK and we have 6 episodes to catch up with. We start March 17th and the fans are back, and Olivia
Yay.
Carter and Ashton Smith began their seemingly long journey to potentially earn an NXT UK Tag Team Championship rematch. Step 1 for Carter: defeat the incomparable Tyler Bate, the only Triple Crown champ in NXT UK history, with Bate perched to the top late in the bout. He was distracted when Trent Seven instigated a shoving match with Ashton Smith at ringside. The moment he lapsed in concentration, costly. After hesitating for an extra second or two, the big strong boy went airborne in an attempt to wipe out his foe, but Carter caught him in a crafty backslide to score a clutch 3 count, and quite possibly the biggest win of his career. And I tell you what, he looks the part, and that performance was there for him there. Really impressive.
Yeah, this was great. And what a difference the crowd makes, man, on the way that the show just kind of feels, and this is just really good, and it's nothing new for Bate, but like you said, for Carter to show out the way he did here, and it's finally one of my first times I know to see a true chance to see what he can do in a single setting, and he knocked it out of the park, like you said, and it was very competitive, and I was just waiting for the underdog to fall, and then that finish at the end there, with Seven costing Bate, it's a slow burn of something there going on, of like seeing this change in Seven, and this is, another situation where Seven cost Bate, kind of like with the Heritage Cup. So I like that finish, and it was just this was very, very good, And Bate losing here, he didn't lose a thing. If you see what I'm saying, it didn't look bad at
Yeah.
all. He losing to Carter. Carter gained everything. The challengers looked like more of a threat, and they continue to tell this story with Seven and Bate. This is great.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. And we see A-Kid wants Saxon Huxley for a tag partner versus D Familia, while Ball swears he's going to give hell and torture to Eddie Dennis. And then Nina Samuels versus Amina McKenzie. And Samuels, who claimed McKenzie's dead weight for NXT UK Women's Champ Miko, took the upper hand by sending her opponent throat first in the middle rope and Elia with a drop kick. McKenzie was left reeling after Samuels took down her by yanking her hair. McKenzie nevertheless dodged a moonsault attempt and hit a bone-rattling spear for the hard-earned victory. I mean, Nina deluded, but he's starting to get loved by the crowd because of that. And I thought this was fine, but I think Amelia is just a little bit bland. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, they haven't really given her much, or given us as viewers much to latch on to with her, other than the fact that she works hard. She's a good wrestler, and she's Mako's student basically. So you don't really have much else there. And you're right. Right now they're presenting her as very bland, even though I do think she's solid in the ring. And like you said, Nina is fun. I agree. It's always a joy to just watch what Nina, not only in the ring, but just like the little character work she does, the screaming, the stuff that she does is just, like you said, oh, nice. She's really, really good. And I think the more she continues to get under other people skinned with this, show and all of that, I think you will only get more and more over, So this was solid stuff though, man. Nothing to sneeze at here. And I thought she, like you said, at the end of the day, Nina did also a good job making McKenzie look good here too. So this was
Mm-hmm.
good. This is fine.
Yeah, it was. It was. Mark Coffey talked to Sid Scala, got himself a Heritage Cup match. He told Joe Coffey, who endorsed it with Gallus Boys on top. Kenny Williams laughed at how, of course, he has enemies and how many he's got, and for getting under people's skin. And then Symbiosis spoke to Sid Scala, informed them that Dennis will face Wild Boar. Dennis tried to decline it and have T-Bone or Primate in his place, and he's more of a manager these days, and Scala accepted this idea. Elia James versus Stevie Turner. We've seen this match following a couple of heated exchanges in the backstage area the past few weeks. Turner was seen taken off guard when Gray showed an impressive mix of speed and athleticism in the early going. James dug deep to fight through the pain, however, and after kicking out of the nick of time, following a vicious slam for Turner, James called lateral press and scored the win with a folding tourney into a unique roll-up for a third win in the last 4 matches. And again, another women's match that kind of delivered.
Yeah, man, it was textbook stuff here, man. I thought it was, again, nothing, it wasn't, like I said, anything too special, but I thought everything was on point. Nothing bad happened in the match, and I thought, Turner ended up getting outmaneuvered, like you said, by Elia here, and this match was what it was. And at the end of the day, like you said, picking up the 3 wins in 4 in her last 4 matches. Again, you can see NXT UK doing a really good job of, even if they're nowhere near title contention or in that consideration yet, telling the story of showing some of their lesser developed character-wise ladies pick up victories, and kind of like what they were doing with Amell, kind of like they're doing with Isla Dawn, even Amelia McKenzie picking up victories. So it's just a lot of very good, like, well diverse, solid competition in the women's division in NXT UK, and this is another good example of it.
Yeah, about that. Well, we see Nam Dar, Charles Samuels talk about Mark Coffey situation and someone betting on Mark, loser. A breakdown of the feud of Isla Dawn and Mika Satomura. And the main event, Roderick Strong versus Wolfgang, as he showed. We've talked about Roderick Strong maybe not being so successful as NXT, but he challenged Wolfgang, and this was not a bad match at all. Wolfgang used his size advantage to throttle Strong with several ring-shaking Irish whips and turnbuckle, a double axe handle from top rope. But with Wolfgang's back ailing thanks to several target attacks from Strong, the Dynamite member dodged a spear and tackled his opponent with a knee to the face for the 3 count. And after the match, Strong challenged to NXT UK champ Ilya Dragunov, telling the ball is in your call. And this was a really technically sound match. And a bit of a surprise, maybe Wolfgang was chosen for this, but I think he did really well.
Yeah, I thought he gave Strong all he could handle here, man. And this was really, really good. But Strong mauled him too, at times, man. It's kind of funny when you think about Strong being the smaller guy and how much control he actually had in this match. But this was fun, man. I had no problem with this. And, this was just a taste, in my opinion, of what Strong can do. And like I said, Wolfgang definitely showed up and represented himself well. And I loved Strong calling out Dragunov immediately after it. I felt like that was a nice call out, and it just set up something that should be fun. I wrote that down. That match will be fun. So, yeah, Dragunov and Strong, come on, man. That's not a bad match at all.
No, that might be a mistake for Diamond Mine's leader to call out Elia, but he'll learn his lesson, I suppose. The next episode, March 24th, the show opens with a package of Isla Dawn attacking Miko a few weeks ago, and some sound bites of them going into tonight's title match. Of course, we should say on commentary, McGuinness and Andy Shepherd, and then D. Familia, Rahan Raj, and Charlie Dempsey versus A-Kid and Saxon Huxley. I mean, this was a really, really good match. Again, A-Kid and Huxley seem to be closing on the victory when the Spanish sensation dropped both his foes with a simultaneous Hurricane Runner. As Huxley held Raju in place and Dempsey strapped to fish, however, Tierman jumped on the apron and knocked A-Kid from the top rope for flipping into the ringside barrier. Seconds later, Raja leveled Huxley for the Seek and Destroy through the 3 count. And A-Kid and Dempsey exchanging just makes me drool,
Yeah, man, like they just damn good, man. This was fine. Just what a good way to kick off the show too. I think NXT UK really does a good job of. I think they understand since they have an hour, they want to hook you and keep you watching. So they put their best foot forward in these opening matches, and this was, like you said, really, really good stuff. Tillman ending up being the X factor, I'm not surprised. Made sense. This is just good stuff. I did see when that's because I watched this one, I think on live when it aired in America live, and people were not necessarily happy the A Kid lost, or just not happy to see him lose it. But if he's on the way out, that's the thing. If with these pre-tapes, I don't know if they were taped before or what, where he's doing. I don't know what's going on with A Kid currently, but it is kind of weird to see him like lose here when he was just about to qualify, for the North American title. So yeah, that the timeline of watching wrestling is getting to us as fans, I think.
Yeah, this is the thing. It does confuse us sometimes, but again, Rohan Raja, he looks great, and he isn't shit. He might be like the least talented. We talked about Toxic Attraction with D Familiar. Yeah, he might be least of the three, but there is a lot of there as well. And we can already see, with Dempsey kind of accepting it now, but there's an easy story to go into that. Speaking of stories as well, the story Wild Balls returned from 2 weeks ago. It looks to get retribution. Backstage, Amell asked about title match tonight. She's interrupted by Zia Brookside, who's fishing for a rematch. Amell says yes. Zia walked off to make a phone call. Apparently she's got help coming. And then T-Bone versus Wild Boar. Wild Boar came through the crowd chasing Symbiosis out the ring. Wild Boar continues retribution tour on a hard-hitting collision with T-Bone, the man who basically took his place. Perhaps feeling the need to get the jump of the trio ball stormed, like we said, to the ring. He must defeat T-Bone and Prima in separate single bouts to get match to get Eddie Demis. He dropped his foe with a pair of suplex, speared him in the turnbuckle, and landed an inverted DDT to seal the victory. The chance, though, for Wild Boar did Wild Boar and Wild Boys, and if anybody knows the Duran Duran classic, they should say Wild Boar, he never loses. Wild Boar never chose this way. Wild Boar, never close your eyes, because Wild Boar always shines. Apologies, Monty, but that song came to my head.
No, I got you. You put some thought behind that one, because that was great. This was cool, man. Boar's on the path to revenge, and I like it. It's a simple story. It's nothing like needing to get revenge on somebody who left you, and someone who turned his back on you. So yeah, I got a problem with this. This is a nice logic. The next logical step in that journey was taking down T-Bone here, and the jumping DDT finish surprised me too, because it kind of came out of nowhere, but I liked it. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. But this was, like I said, the perfect thing to do, in my opinion, for Boar, was to finally get a victory over one of those Symbiosis guys, because he's obviously on the warpath.
Yeah, I mean, this was not bad, but obviously I was distracted by Duran Duran. And then we see NXT UK champ Elia Dragunov accepting Strong's challenge. He's ready to send Rod to AEW. But this should have been on Stand and Deliver. Like, there's not putting Elia Dragunov versus Roderick Strong on a takeover or a special event would have paid off dividends anyway. But they didn't. So we've got to move on. Danny Jones versus Jordan Devlin. Devlin looking to stay on track, and he was on top of his game, claiming an upper hand and staggered his opponent with several vicious forearm strikes and kicks. Jones did fire back with wicked insecurity, but Devlin countered the onslaught with a cutter and drove Jones in the canvas with a nasty suplex to earn his fourth win in the last 5 matches as well. And Devlin bragged about being so far ahead of the roster. I do like Danny Jones, but has Devlin hit the glass ceiling with his big head in NXT UK? Because he has got a point, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. He really do. He's definitely top tier, NXT UK championship, challenger type level. So if he's not doing that, what else is he doing here? So yeah, I don't necessarily know what will be next for him though, because the main roster, if they don't want a Kushida, I don't know necessarily why would they want a Jordan Devlin. You know what I mean? Because it's almost the same thing. Not saying that a of quality or anything. It's definitely two different things. But I'm saying the same problems you have with Kushida, you probably will find in Devlin. So it's like, yeah. But I think this was good though. Danny Jones really was having fun out there. He gave it a shot. But Devlin was the focus here. And they obviously had some, we'll see what was coming. I literally asked what's next for him because, after the empty arena match and all that, it's like, what is next? So I think that's how we should leave it.
Yeah, well, we get rid of pack Ashton Smith versus Trent 7 as a qualifier series for Smith and Carter's title rematch. They've watched a lot of tape ahead of the single match while Trent's been all spiritual. We get another video package, build up Mark Coffey's Heritage Cup shot against No Amdar, which is next week. Coffey reckons he's learned from everyone else's mistake against Dar, but notes he's not had many single matches in NXTUK, with Dar mocking this as being Coffey's peak on the show. And then the main event is the NXTUK Women's Championship match, Bella Dawn versus Miko Satomura. And I'll tell you what, the cackling Dawn came within an eyelash of winning the champion there. She levels Satomura with picture-perfect bridging Fishman suplex and a boot to the face. But we see the crafty title holder fire back with unique hammerlock to keep the challenger down for the 3 count. But after the bell, Dawn nonetheless made good on their pre-match promise to leave with the NXTUK Women's Championship, grabbing it and laughing maniacally away. I don't know about you, but Dawn's eye makeup was freaky as fuck, and with her closing eyes made added impact for each move as well.
Yeah, that's a small little thing. I didn't even. It's funny again, the things you notice, but I got you. You're right. It did. It definitely adds something. I didn't even really pay attention to it during the match, but yeah, she had a nice look there, and this was great to me, man. Like the video package leading up to it, acknowledging their history all the way back down to Michael's first match or whatever, like that. I like being informed of that, and I feel like Dawn was a threat here, and she had picked up those victories. She had the psychological threat thing going on here, but it had great striking, smart wrestling from Dawn, and I'm just impressed, about how good Isla Dawn looked, in my opinion. And I thought like the weird vignettes led us all the way down to that moment, to that match. So everything she was doing up to this point kind of started to make sense to me. It didn't seem as random as it was at first when we were reviewing this a few months back. But yeah, man, her taking the belt and meaning this wasn't over, I was all for seeing them do this again, because I really enjoyed this match.
You're about that. I mean, Isla showed out, but Miko not ready to lose just yet. She needs to get a title back in time for Blair Davenport and her return. Dawn would be perfect for either House of Black or Edge and Damian Priest's group as well. Great main event, like we say. Then we start March 31st episode with Zia Brookside defeating Amell. Of course, we saw this with Zia Brookside call on her cell phone, telling her father, simply saying, it's time. We wondered what it was going to be about, and the answer was seemingly revealed with a mystery assailant twice reached over the ringside barricade, yanking the French Hope into it, and nailing with a clothesline when the official was busy checking on Brookside. Seconds later, Brookside dropped Amell with broken wings for the 3 count, and Amell joins Zia in the ring to celebrate her win. Good opener. Looks like Zia is getting a heater, which can only be a good thing as well.
Yes, I agree. She's such a good brat. She does it so well. Her reaction to being booed by the fans was just great. I thought she sold it well. This was good to kick off the show. And for her, apparently it was time for her dad to send, Zaya a new friend. So I was eager to see what happened next from here. Like you said, her getting heat, perfectly fine with it, especially with this bratty character role. We'll see how far it goes, though.
Yeah, without doubt. And anybody interested, it is Eliza Alexander, who is the former Lizzie Evo, who has worked in a variety of different promotions in the world of pro wrestling. These include ICW, TNT, and Progress. And she also worked a dark match for NXTUK in November of 2021. Isla Dawn still has Mika Satomura's championship and is keeping it until Satomura does exactly what she wants. Of course, we know next week it's Ilya Dragunov defending the NXTUK championship against Roderick Strong. But right now it's Trent 7 versus Ashton Smith, and 7 continues to descend into darkness in a pulse-pounding match with Smith. Of course, we'll talk about potentially earning a title. They traded forearms strikes with Smith for using the referee as his shield. 7 blasted his opponent with wicked right hands and a series of suplexes. The two competitors engaged in a series of roll-ups and set a 3 count with a handful of tights, leaving Bates somewhat conflicted at ringside. Monty, I don't want it to happen. I don't want the end of British Strong Style. Please tell. I mean, Butch is done, but let us have a heel mustache mountain and add a layer to Tyler rather than what we're going to get.
It doesn't seem like this is where they're going, man. Tyler does not seem like he's getting the message, because I think Trent, I will say this, Trent has been very, very transparent that he will do anything to keep his championship. And he's continuing it. So I'm with you. I understand that may be what you prefer, but I don't think that's where we're going. I think that I don't think so, man. It doesn't seem like it. Tyler has a moral code, okay? A moral compass here. It's definitely getting on his conscience. You can see it. So yeah, Trent has been transparent about those, which is a nice little element. It's not like he's pretending to do this on a mistake or anything. Like, no, like I'm doing whatever it takes to win. So we'll see how it turns out. Maybe he can convince Trent. I mean, not Trent. He can convince Tyler. Trent is already convinced.
This is the thing about it, Lo, is it's a story. And would it be fair to say as well that, you know, no offense to like we talk about Ashton Smith and Trent 7, but the other two are kind of the stars tag teams, if you know what I mean. But then again,
this was still
I
nice,
might be
though,
wrong.
But
this
is still a nice match. But I agree, they're definitely the. I mean, there's no question with Bate, and then like you said, I think that's the truth.
Well, A-Kid is ready to step up to Tierman, and Wild Boar is still on hunt for Eddie Dennis. And then backstage, Smith and Carter are upset at Trent 7 cheating. Bate is torn between supporting his friend and partner, but clearly not approving his actions. Cisco broke up the argument, and he'll be talking to both teams. And then Tate Mayfair versus Kenny Williams. And seemingly paranoid Williams got the upper hand on Tate, but the Scum of the Earth spent a good chunk of the match keeping his head on the swivel to make sure no one was approaching. When Mayfair fell under the ring, it was only his boots sticking out. Williams scoffed and went to drag him back, only for Sam Gradwell to emerge. This is awesome. Gradwell threw Mayfair's back in a squared circle and stood between the teams, and the ring resulted in Mayfair's getting a count-out victory for as Thunderstorm chases Nemesis to the backstage area. Sam is back. I love this, obviously. Monty, what do you think?
Yeah, I knew you enjoyed this. I did like Kenny looking very paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder. He looked disheveled, that was a nice touch because obviously someone's stalking him. And I honestly, this was really way more competitive than I thought it was going to be, but it was fun, and when Gradwell appeared, I would have been bummed if Gradwell didn't appear, honestly. So this worked out really, really good because, like, I thought it would have just made sense for Gradwell to show up here. But, Mayfair's was fine, too. I thought he did a good job. So this was fun.
Yeah, Mayfair's did it right. It's a shame he's named after the cigarette I smoke. If he was called, it's equivalent. Ted Marlborough shows up in NXT 2.0. We've got a slight problem, but we'll see what happens. Wolfgang's interview is interrupted by De Familia. Charlie Dempsey asks why Gallus always gets to represent UK heritage. Wolfgang said he's ready for a fight and doesn't need a reason. And then Andy Shepherd moderated a sit-down between Dragunov and Strong, where they touted each other's accolades, but they spoke about how they win their upcoming title match. Then the NXT UK Heritage Cup was on the line. The champion, Noam Dar, arguably the greatest champion in WWE right now, versus Mark Coffey. Dar cruised round 1 and managed to annoy both Mark and Joe, which is an added bonus. Dar opened the scoring in round 2 when he baited a hard charge in Mark Coffey and caught him with a roll-up that netted a 3 count. But Mark Coffey did even the score by blasting the Scotch Supernova with a kick to the face in round 3. Scoreless round 4 set stage for the controversial conclusion. Of course, 1-1 in round 5. Coffey ensnared Dar in the submission home. When he released it, when Shah hopped onto the apron, Joe Coffey chased Samuels into the ring, and Mark Coffey dropped Samuels with a right hand. After taking a few seconds to convince Joe to leave, Mark turned round right into the Nova Roller for Noam Dar to retain 2-1. And as NXT concluded, Dar and Samuels celebrated, while the elected Coffey brothers watched from ringside. And again, firstly, credit to Mark Coffey. He's in great shape. You kind of get forgotten about because of Joe. But Dar and Shah need to be knighted, didn't they? I'm making the most of these moments.
I agree. No one works together better, man. Like, he's the great. You got the greatest. Like, he's on one of the greatest runs in Heritage Cup history. And you have the greatest corner man in Heritage Cup history. Like, this is just that they're unstoppable. They're smart. They're the mastermind. They have mastered the concept of this cup match, in my opinion. They have it down to a T, man. And this was genuinely entertaining stuff from everyone involved. Mark was not usually in singles action, like you said. He doesn't really get the credit that he may deserve. But so I was eager to see what he could do in this format, and I was really, really impressed. And he looked really good. And Noam Dar started drinking on the job at one point, right? So Stone Cold is not the only person who allowed to get away with that. So I like that. I love Shaw asking for more time after Mark knocked Noam out. For his first fall, like, Noam Dar was still basically unconscious, and Shaw was like, no, we need more time because the intermission was up. So that made me laugh. So it's always something that makes me pop, and then there's always very, very good high level wrestling. So these segments are great. Like you said, they need to be knighted. I love this.
Well, yeah, it is. I love these Dar main events. I really do. Like I said, we have to make the most of it whilst they are happening. April 7th, we start off with a nice video for the main event, straight into action in a battle between 14 partners, Wild Boar and Primate, as they pulverize another, as Boar continues to say to get a match against Eddie. And of course, with Primate, the only one blocking. T-Bone hops on the ring apron, distracting the official, allowing Dennis to wrap a chain around his fist and crack Boar with a vicious right hand to give Primate the win. After the match, Symbiosis held Boar in place while Dennis repeatedly hit him with a chain until Mark Andrews hit the scene, landed several steel chairs on Symbiosis and chased them from the ring. This match was old school WWF, but the whipping after the chain sound and looked fucking vicious, man.
Yeah, man. Like you said, man, hard hitting stuff, and then the end result was brutal. Like, I wrote that down. Like, that was brutal, man. And, it's pretty good to see. It was good to see Mark Andrews, though, and made it seem worthwhile maybe at the end there to see, made you want to see what happens next now that Boar actually has someone to have his back in this war. 3-on-1 before this. Like you said, the match was okay. It was really, really good. Old school, tough, stuff. So, but yeah, it sounded, it looked pretty tough. Like, I don't know how you can gimmick that,
No. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But we move on, and earlier this week, the NXTUK Performance Center, Sam Gradwell planned to prank Kenny Williams, but discovered he had maggots in his bag. Aditya Mello spoke about the upcoming matches. Charlie Dempsey doesn't think he'll have any problems tapping out Wolfgang. Tierman says pain is temporary, but for A-Kid it will be permanent. They toast the continued success of the faction. Jack Styles helped spot Dave Massive at the gym, and the Coffee Brothers got wild up. And then Charlie Dempsey versus Wolfgang. And D Familiar slowly tightened their grip on NXT UK after Wolfgang shook the ring by taking down his foe with vicious suplex. The Eye of Tierman appeared on Tarchon, distracted the last King of Scotland. Wolfgang refocused and knocked Rohan Raja from the ring apron with a right hand. But when he turned back to face his opponent, the undefeated Dempsey leveled him with a bridging double underhook suplex for the win. I think this was okay, but I think we need Dempsey to have a better level of opponents, don't we?
Yeah, he had already beat Wolfgang too. Already tapped him out, I think, if I remember it right. So, running this back, I was trying to see what they would do that was different. But the main difference here was, like you said, the story of the more distraction. I think as we saw later, they were trying to tell more of a story focusing on where Gallus is right now. So using this as an example of that, but they've also Dempsey and Amell for to go ahead and speak by all of them. They have made a lot of enemies really quick. That was another thing. It kind of confused me. I understood why these problems started, but I was like, but they were just having these problems, but on to the next one, I guess. But this was still solid, still technically solid. I like Dempsey's work. I'm probably gonna say something that people in those AEW fans are gonna hate me out there, but I think Dempsey is better than Hook, honestly, in my opinion. If you just watch him in the ring and what he can do, I know that's controversial, but I said that every time I watch him, I'm like Dempsey is
fuck.
he's not getting the attention because of course he's on the show that no one really pay a lot of the, especially over here in the States, they don't pay attention to it. But I don't think I would be wrong in backing Dempsey in that, but honestly, that's just me. People who may not like that style may not understand it, but he's just so unique. I don't know if WWE have a clue because I don't even think they watch NXT UK, but they have something special with Dempsey, in my opinion. And I just hope they realize it. But who am I kidding? Seems like everybody who's branded is NXT UK, right? Everyone who comes to NXT UK right now, except Rhea Ripley at this point. But who knows what a future lies there?
It's just.
I don't know, man.
Thing.
But yeah, the point is, I really think highly of Dempsey. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
We'll be waiting for the emails for all the AEW fans now. But Miko Satomura wants to speak face to face with Viola Dawn. Brookside introduced Eliza Alexander, helped to beat Amell last week. Next week she'll make a debut. Sid Scala set up match in 2 weeks for the NXTUK tag team titles. Wolfgang is upset with Joe and Mark Coffey for not having his back during his match earlier. And he's got a point, like he talked about. Next week faces A-Kid. The Coffee Bros fight Jack Starr and Dave Mastiff. But the main event was Elia Dragunov versus Roderick Strong for the NXT UK Championship. And Strong made his desperation apparent in the early goings when he feigned a clean rope break before trying to blast the title holder with a right hand, only for Dragunov to duck. An early mat grappling clinic soon gave way to a vicious exchange of chops and fists as well as ringside brawl that saw the Messiah backbreaker taking the upper hand by chucking his opponent into the steel stairs. Dragunov fought through the pain to take down a challenger with jaw-dropping sequence of suplexes, but Strong rolled out the ring and once again used his steel steps to his advantage, slamming the title holder back first on the top of him. After almost several menacing forearm strikes to the face, Dragunov caught Strong with 2 insecurities, received one final knee to the face from Strong, but managed to clobber him with a driving headbutt. Do not call it a torpedo Moscow for the hard-earned title retention. What did you think of this match? Because I thought this is brilliant.
Yeah, man, this is incredible. This was not competitive, technically sound, physical, as I expect from Dragunov. And, these two guys are veterans, like you said, the Messiah, the backbreaker, I had high expectations, and I think they really did a really good job of delivering. Dragunov, if you think about the quality of all of his defenses, he's really starting to stack up solid to very good to awesome, really, really, really awesome matches. Really, if you think about all of his title defenses so far. And like you said, it's a shame something like this wasn't on Stand and Deliver, or you know what I mean, get the spotlight it deserved. But either way it goes, I thought this was great from both guys. The champ once again was just too much to overcome. He's just so overwhelming. I think that's the best way to kind of describe how he wins his matches. he comes back out of nowhere and just overwhelms his opponent. This was just incredible to me from two of the best. So I thought this was good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic showcase of both men. I've never doubted Strong's wrestling ability, but rather the personality. As for Lee, he's been under the radar for a lot of people, but of course, one of the best on the planet. And it's weird because they said he has held the title for 228 days, and I just thought he just won it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just getting ready.
That's fair.
Like, I
it
don't
still
know if
feels like it, right? But it's true though, because he fought Volta a while. It has been a while, I guess. But no, you're right. That is insane. That it's been that long already.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, I'm used to 700-day reigns, so this is just kind of getting started.
Yeah.
And much like Pete Dunne and Volta before him, he is the face and heart of NXT UK, and there's no doubt in my mind he should get a year reign. But who next? My guess, we did mention it earlier, might be Jordan Devlin. He's the only one who maybe could be a threat. And we found out as well that the music and graphics on NXT UK have been edited as well, because like we talked about, the Torpedo Moscow was Dragunov's finish, and the theme as well was Comrades of the Red Army music. And believe it or not, they have edited them out and no longer using it, which is probably the best idea. And unlike maybe Wimbledon, they've not banned either Dragunov from competing. So again, it's something different when with sports and stuff like this. But we move on to our penultimate NXT UK, and it's April 14th. We start with tag action and Gallus versus Mastiff and Stars. Despite another impressive showing for Mastiff and Stars, the Coffee Brothers proved to be their own worst enemies when Joe made a blind tag which nullified Mark's pinning combination of Mastiff. Second later, Mastiff took down Joe and tagged Stars, who defeated Joe with a thunderous powerbomb. After the bell, the Coffee Brothers expressed their frustration at each other and shoved each other. Wolfgang hit the scene to step between the brothers, who continued arguing. Before we get onto the Gallus breakup, this is a good opener, but one of the most shocking visuals of all time was Jack Stars powerbombing and pinning the perennial number one Joe Coffey. My God, times have changed. But are we getting a Mark versus Joe Coffey match coming up as well? It's crazy, isn't it?
That's what it seems like, right?
What other company, what other wrestling show can a guy who was a jobber, who's got Volta's handprint still on his chest, and then beating a guy who was headlining against Volta at a takeover? It's mental.
It's true. That's true. It's crazy, But honestly, I really like how they've gotten here with him, man. It does seem kind of overnight, but it's kind of this made a lot of sense. This is just really well executed. I thought the match was really, really good, tied really well into the story they're telling backstage. Master warned the Coffees. They're not on the same page before this, so it showcased itself perfectly. And then, like you said, you get the surprise spot with Stars pulling that off. I thought that was just awesome. And this was just executed really, really well. I did want to ask you, I'm like, so they're teasing at this point dissension between Mustache Mountain and Gallus.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now?
This is not good. I don't like change. But again, like we spoke about with, even someone like Flash Morgan Webster earlier, Gallus have done it all. And if Joe Coffey, and trust me, he's had enough chances, if he's not going to be NXT UK champion, and Mark and Joe aren't going to be tag champs, because obviously with Wolfgang, longest reigning tag champions, and they're not going to be in the Heritage Cup, what is there?
Yeah.
And if NXT
and 2.0
don't want them,
Noam, so
yeah, exactly. So if 2.0 don't want them, then fight between themselves, which is a bit of a shame, because I think Gallus on 2.0 would be good, but then again, they're probably called Sheamus O'Shaughnessy and Potato, so it's not
fair enough. Oh my goodness.
So we kind of don't want that, but we'll see what happens when it comes there. We get Vignette hyping up the brawl to come between Sam Gradwell and Kenny Williams. Mika Satmore granted Isla Dawn a title rematch before Dawn attacked the champion with the Black Mist. Of course, this rematch will be coming with Dawn getting it under her own chaotic rules. It will take place in my domain in a world of darkness. But I tell you what, seeing the Black Mist used against a Japanese wrestler again
Right?
is a mind fuck, you know?
Yes, like right. That is so weird, right? But I actually liked it because it made me feel like it works well with her character. Honestly, it really do. It really works very well. Like especially like you said, the makeup again. She had, I think, wasn't it like all black leather, kind of seeming like all too. So like she just had the perfect imagery to spit out the Black Mist. I knew something was coming because I honestly didn't. This was one time I was saying, Michael, you should just hit her in the face. like sometimes, like, why are we still talking? But honestly, this was fine. Honestly, I did think so. Like, I did wonder. I'm like, so no one has ever thought about just taking the belt after they lose. Like, we would have unlimited rematches if you could just goad the
That's what
champion into.
Adam Cole watched it and did it. So.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, it's just easy. It's so simple, right? But anyway, this works for me. I do wonder though, like, is this just gonna be a street fight in a weird place, like a backstage place, or is this gonna be cinematic? Like, where are we going with this when we're talking about her domain? I am interested to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Amell, so it's only a matter of time before she gets her hands on side Brookside and Eliza Alexander. Andrews and Wild Boar are Welsh chums, and they want symbiosis. That's nice, isn't it? And then Eliza Alexander versus Angel Hayes, and of course making her debut. She turned in an eye-opening performance against Hayes, who did stagger the newcomer with a couple of kicks in the early games, but Alexander got rolling when she chucked Hayes face first in the top turnbuckle and followed up with a clothesline. Hayes once got again back in a fight with a series of forearm strikes, only to be foiled when Alexander blasts over a decisive running knee to the face. Ladies and gentlemen, the NXT UK's Jamie Hayter. But again, it was a nice showcase for the scoundrel.
Yeah, this was great. She said she was gonna batter someone in her promo, and that's exactly what she did. Like, she destroyed. She was like very, very physical, and like the fans hated her, and she reveled in it. Like, I loved it. It seemed like she was just having fun at the fact that they were, chanting for Angel Hayes here, and she punished her for it. And I thought Hayes, even like you said, had some moments in this one. So, I like how NXT UK, do their, if you want to call these squash matches or, kind of like development for like new characters. Like, for example, so this is her debut. I prefer this route, like, of a competitive type of match like this. They do this more in NXT UK than I see them doing anywhere else across the roster, debuting people with competitive matches instead of squash matches, or you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I understand sometimes, especially like in 2.0 with all those newcomers, it's hard to do that because they only know about a couple of spots, so you can only like do squash matches. But I'm saying, like, in this case, she obviously has done this before. She was comfortable. I really love this debut, and I think the future is bright for Eliza here. Like, she can go.
Well, that and Zach Gibson would be proud, and I would love to see Grizzly Young Vets, with a promo soon to be, and then she gets and goes, "I'm gonna smash her. I'm just gonna smash her." That's what we want.
Yes,
Scales power. Amelia McKenzie was speaking of how work pays off, training under Miko Satomura, while Stevie Turner interrupts to say McKenzie chosen to be number 2. Satomura chooses her as a protege because she doesn't think of her as a threat. Says a woman who picked the number 4. Yeah, well, right. Yeah. Okay. Tiaman defeated A-Kid, and if there's one takeaway from the thrilling main event clash between A-Kid and Tiaman, it might be the Spanish sensation needs some backup with his battle for D Familia, forced to deal with the constant meddling from Rohan Raj and Charlie Dempsey. He knew he was fighting an uphill battle from the opening Obel, but against all odds, A-Kid seemed to be closing on victory when he took out Raj and Dempsey with a death-defying moonsault. Unfortunately for A-Kid, Tiaman seized the opportunity to drop him back first on the ring and tackled him with unique and devastating reverse DDT for a 3 count. I mean, that finisher looks fucking wicked. What did you think this main event? Because this was really good stuff.
Yeah, this was nice, man. I thought both guys, looked great, and the outcome was kind of, it was expected because I felt like Tillman had to win. They even kind of hinted at it in the promo, leading up to it about like how Rajai won, Dempsey took care of business, so like the leader, and that's why I'm like, well, it make him look really really weak if he lost here, so or at least the weakest out of the three, and that don't make sense. Why are we following this guy around? And we can't handle this, especially with our help. So I thought the outcome was expected, but I thought it was still a fun way to get there. It was nice, really fun main event. A-Kid hits it out of the park once again. I'm not really surprised. I think he's awesome. I just don't know where his future lies. I'm really, really worried for him. Like, not even just NXT UK, but like NXT 2.0, like in WWE, like in the current direction that they seem to be going in. I don't want A-Kid to be in, chasing around Toxic Attraction randomly out of nowhere, or doing something weird with Ike Minero, or losing to Von Wagner. I don't want that for A-Kid, stuff like that. But who knows what could be going on in the future? But I hope big things is in his future, because I think he deserves it. But Tillman also impressed here. I thought he looked really good too. So this is great for D-Phil Mill. I thought this was going to be really good for them going forward. Also, they're obviously establishing them as a force.
Yeah, it's a shame though, like you said with A-Kid, that you can't go to like Strong for a couple of months. Do you know what I mean? Have some great matches and then go to Impact.
Right.
And then it has to be the main roster where you just know what's going to happen. But like I said, it was an excellent main event. And what NXT UK do well is there was no titles on the line, but A-Kid has built up such good grace with the fans and kind of on a high level.
Yeah.
And of course, Tillman needed a victory over a high-profile character. So it's really, really good stuff. And then April 21st, final NXT UK. And Kenny Williams has been on edge. And a back-alley brawl with Sam Gradwell certainly wasn't the ideal environment for the scum of the earth to calm his nerves. The Thunderstorm, of course, had his mohawk cut off by Williams, met him in the entryway and began brutalising his nemesis before the bell. Williams was further shaken by the presence of a masked individual who kept a close eye from the crowd. The brawling went all over the arena. Gradwell received a seemingly unsolicited sit for the masked person when Williams once again distracted. Rope. Seconds later, staggered Gradwell recovered. So Williams saw him through the air and crashing through a table at ringside, threw him back in the ring for the 3 count. And following the match, the masked individual chased the terrified Williams to the backstage. The first match of the good guy Gradwell, they need to give Sam better video graphics. It's just like a tiny Sam Gradwell. Like, come on, guys, work on it. What did you think of this match, first and foremost? I know, again.
Yeah, man. Right, the details, man, details. But yeah, came into this expecting a fight, and I wasn't expecting it to be someone else other than Gradwell sitting in them notes, man, because they tied it in so well into Gradwell wanting to hunt him down also. So the fact that it's actually someone else stalking him really kind of threw me off. But I was like, man, that is ingenious. Like, they literally transitioned into his next feud smoothly, or something, or his next story smoothly. So like, I loved how they executed that. But Sam Gradwell got, the revenge he does, he was looking for, and I thought that's the way it should have ended. It was really, really fun too, the match, in my opinion. So I really loved this. Like, the way they executed the ending, and how we got here, I really enjoyed this. And now Gradwell can move on, like you said, and continue on as a face, and Williams can now handle whatever this masked man situation is. So this is great.
Yeah, the story and the character work was great, with Kenny being the cockroach that he is, the scum of the earth, and resulting in being scared is perfect. And even with Sam kind of building up his baby face and saying, like, this is for my son, this is for my family, try to take everything away. I don't want any spoilers for anybody, but I'm hoping the masked man is Amir Jordan, because that would create the story. Because let's not forget, Kenny Williams attacked Amir Jordan when he used to be tag team partners about a year ago in NXT UK, and then beat him in a loser leaves NXT UK match. So for Amir to come back, and come back to do it would be great. I'm looking at his hands and going, are they Miss Jordan's hands? And I'm going, how the fuck do I know what his hands look like? I've never looked at the
Right.
hands.
Oh my goodness,
But
that'll be great though, because like, and then what I love about it, he's the scum of the earth, so it could be anyone, because he's that, like, it could be a new character, it could be someone from his past, but he's the scum of the earth. You can write in anything for him to do because he's so unlikable. So it's like, it's not a hard thing to believe that someone wants to hunt him down.
Yeah, the thing is with Kenny, and that's why the character work is so good, is that, you know, these cool heels or anything, there's nothing likable about Kenny, and he doesn't do anything that would want the fans to just, he is the scum of the earth, you know, and it's exactly the same. My problem with Gradwell, it's like, even with the graphics as such, is like, where are we going with him now? Are we building him up as the face, or are we going to have him kind of, you know, jobbing out to people like a, you know, Saxton Huxley type character, you know? So we kind of got to be careful. I say I'm not booking it, but that's the kind of what I'm looking at in the future weeks, so to speak. Eddie Dennis challenged Wild Boar and Mark Andrews to face Symbiosis. Looks like it's going to happen. Then we had Amelia McKenzie versus Stevie Turner. And even looking back on the 6 episodes, Mackenzie's been featured quite heavily in picking up the victories as well. And she hit the ring like a ball of fire. Clearly not forgetting Turner insinuated that she was a lapdog. Mackenzie shook off a vicious boot from Turner. And a picture perfect suplex to land a German suplex and a spear for the win. Nothing wrong with this, but Stevie Turner. Now, I'm not going to say she needs to be released or something like that, but the character needs a complete overhaul. Not working for me right now.
Yeah, this was solid. Nothing special here, but, you know, I thought they both looked fine. And, you know, I must say though, she is definitely impossible to take seriously as a threat, man. It's just hard. It's like, how could you take her seriously, man, at this point? Like, she had a title shot, you know, not too long ago, and I like I said, I just don't understand. It's hard to really, like you said, understand what they're trying to do with her. But she loses again, so she's falling down the ladder.
Yeah, it's weird. And, you know, in 2 weeks' time, though, we have got a World of Darkness match, which will see Mika Samoa defend against Isla Dawn. Earlier this week, Lash Legend, Ivan Earl, Damon Kemp, and Von Wagner arrived as part of the talent exchange that will start next week. Wagner bumped shoulders with Saxon Huntley to hint at those two fighting. Please, God, don't break up Gallus and Mustache Mountain and give us fucking Von Wagner. Please don't do this to us. It's not fair. We want NXT UK as it is.
It's sad. Like, now they want me to start skipping a match on an hour show, because I promise you, I'm consistent. I don't know what they can do to make me care about Von Wagner. Even the supreme writing and the great job that they do with backstage segments in NXT UK, I am not confident that I would care any more about Von Wagner. But I do like this talent exchange, because I think some of these newer faces need to work out with different people, different styles, learn more. And I don't have a problem with that for some of these people, because some of them are just so green, you know. So I don't mind it, but yeah, I'm not interested to see Von Wagner twice. But hopefully that means he's away from 2.0, right? So he's just gonna be on UK now.
That's not fair. That is
because I don't want to see him twice.
You know? I don't want him to see him. I don't want to. There's no good way this ends. You know, this doesn't end well for anybody.
Oh my goodness! This is two Von Wagner segments a week.
We do not want this. We appreciate the effort, thank you, but fuck off. You know, just like simple. But we don't want the Americans ruining. You've done enough.
Hero on American agreeing.
The Americans come like, oh, don't worry, guys, we're gonna fix this. And it's like, no, it doesn't need bigger, doesn't need better. Eliza Alexander was Brookside, but stoked over Alexander's win. I don't think I've seen Zia as happy. And next week,
why did they say Carmelo? Like somebody else, like another, even Waller.
But
come on, man.
It's just, I don't know why. But Zia Brookside saying someone is getting battered, and like we talked about, is going to work. This is going to work between Alexander and Brookside.
Yeah,
in 3 weeks, Jordan Devlin gets a shot at the NXTUK Championship on the special 200th episode of NXTUK. And of course, next week there'll be a contract signing. So what an update we are going to have next month, Monty, because of course it will be the women's title on the line, the NXT UK title on the line, and the 200th episode of NXT UK. And the WNR have covered one. So it's the main event now, and the final match to review is the NXT UK Tag Team Championship on the line. Mustache Mountain versus Oliver Carter, Ashton Smith in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And after overwhelming the champions with a series of lightning quick kicks, Carter and Smith teamed up for an incredible tandem attack as Carter lifted Smith in the air to tee up his partner for an innovative moonsault onto Trent 7 that earned him the bout's first pinfall. Now, have you ever seen a finish like that? Because I watched loads of tag team, but even when he did it, I was like, have I seen someone do that? That was really cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It
was an awesome way, man. Yeah.
So 7 and Bate. It really was. 7 and Bate struck back though when the Don helped Smith in a position for the big, strong boy to clobber him with a clothesline for the pinfall that knotted the score at 1-1. And when 7 failed to put away Smith with a 7 stars lariat, following Carter interrupting the pinfall in, landed a burning hammer on Smith and seemingly different 7 roll Carter up and put his feet on the ropes to score the decisive pinfall. Bate, who saw 7 break the rules, was disappointed to say the least.
He looked devastated, right?
He was like, why? Well, he's Birmingham. Why did you do that? Oh, no. Oh, you put your foot on a rope. Why would he do that? But they are still tag team champions. But what a match. Talk about two who are in sync with each other at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is awesome. I honestly, the feud has been really good. Anyway, consistently, even the singles encounters and all that have all been solid to great. And then Smith and Carter and both like you said, their chemistry at this point, you can tell they have this all together. This was awesome. The story they're telling with Bate and 7 is just very compelling. This is just incredible tag team wrestling, man, in every way. It was it was dramatic. I think Nigel said it was a classic, and it really felt like that afterwards. It really felt like a classic. And it's been easy to root for Smith and Carter here. Mustache Mountain is well respected, so the story they're telling with Bate and 7 is just very compelling to me, man. Like I said, 7 has been honest about his intentions. But honestly, they have wrestled such an incredible tag team match to me in every way that I thought that, honestly, I was kind of hurt that he cheated. I was like, oh, no. I was like, no, because it was it just felt like it needed a conclusive finish. And I was like, because Smith and Carter was so close many times there, man. They were just being, they worked really well together. I don't know if I really realized it until I watched them at length here for 20 plus minutes with Mustache Mountain. And like I said, we know how great they are. And then 7 cheating to win was just the right way to cap it off, though, because even though I would have liked Smith and Carter to win, I love that now it's no qualms about it. This is 7's true colors. It was highlighted in a major moment, in a major match, that he is going to do that no matter. He's going to do whatever it takes. And I feel like whenever they lose, when they lose those belts, because it's going to happen someday. I don't know if it's going to be lengthy. I don't know if it's going to be sooner than later. But when they lose those championships, he's going to snap because he is committed to doing whatever it takes. And I just love the way they're executing this story. So if a split is coming down the line, you can already kind of see that at some point Tyler Bate is going to have to figure out what side of this line he's going to be on. Is he going to do anything with 7, or is it, is this going to cause problems? Because, at the end of the day, they are still champions, but this is great.
Yeah, I always thought Trent 7 looked like a haggard Jude Law. Like Jude Law going through rough times, just like.
That's a good one.
But like I said, these two teams have been fantastic. And what's weird as well, because, with luck or reason to it, first match that we looked at in NXTUK was Bate versus Carter. And of course, the last match we look at is for tag team. So we talk about women's championship and the main title, but it's kind of tag team division that we're focusing on 6 weeks, and it really has delivered. Like I said, this is not over, but it will be the end soon. But I would say NXT UK is saving the NXT name at this moment in time. What have you thought of these last 6 episodes of NXT UK?
Yeah, man, they continue to be solid. I agree. They're saving the name. They're just consistent. They put on shows that just make a lot of sense for the most part. There's nothing that I feel like wasted. Like when you compare it to their 2.0 counterpart, it's just a lot of stuff over there where I just feel like it was a waste of time. And then when you look at what NXT UK, I feel like everything they do, they make that entire hour count. And they do a really good job of being consistent with the quality of their matches. They do a really good job also, like I said, keeping you there by hooking you with a compelling match to start off, and then the second or even if they throw 2 matches in between sometimes, they're solid, not necessarily as lengthy, but still good to solid stuff. And then they hit you over the head with a very, very compelling and great main event, and they do have a really good job of doing that within that hour. So they keep that going forward. I like Devlin and Dragunov going forward. Like I really, that feud with the empty arena match and now getting them in the last, just like a straight up wrestling match this time. I'm really interested to see where we're going. Like, could they go with Devlin here to try to mix it up maybe and put Dragunov back on the chase? Or are we going to continue this reign? I don't know. But that's still interesting. The feud of the tag title has been awesome. And like you said, it may not be over, so we'll see. The women's division is probably, in my opinion, the NXT UK's strongest suit, or at least the most consistent, in my opinion, from top to bottom. And they do a really great job of making their time count. Down the line, no matter if it's a match about the title, or a storyline about the title, or a storyline that has nothing to do with the title, debuting new characters, all of that great stuff. I think NXT UK's women's division is some of the best in the world, and they continue to be consistent. And these episodes were solid as ever, in my opinion. Really good stuff from everybody.
Yeah. I think for me, the main difference between NXT UK and NXT, and we did touch on it earlier, even there's not a match for no reason. Even when it's like a debut match, or we saw Alexander winning, it would be competitive a little bit. It just won't be like a one-sided squash. It's not just a match for a match sake or an outside interference or DQ without a kind of meaning or a reason to it. And that's what I kind of really like. And again, the old style format, it's unbelievable to think that, be doing NXT update on the podcast for 7 years, and to think NXT UK is still like that original NXT I first watched. And until people like Von Wagner come along and completely fucking destroy it, I'm trying to make the most of it. Von Wagner beats Noam Dar in for Heritage Cup.
Don't do that. Don't say
anything like that. But it's been a pleasure to watch. And the other pleasure I get as well, Monty, is, of course, with you telling me as well. And it's all right, with being a biased Brit and saying, oh, this is really good stuff. But when you saying it as well, I think to myself, yeah, it is actually as good as we're saying, but that is basically it. Is anything else from NXT or NXT UK? I think we're pretty much done.
No, I agree. I think I just recommend that more Americans, around the world, anybody take time out to just check out, NXT UK, because they, like you said, some of this just really solid stuff. Like, if you love pro wrestling, I think it worked. And as far as NXT, oh man, I just hope for a brighter day. Hoping for brighter days. Yeah. Anyway, this was fun though. Always fun. Well,
it's when Carmelo Hayes gets called up to the main roster as like caramel fudge cake or something like that, then we know we've got serious trouble. But until that point comes, don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR. You can find the entire WNR team on Twitter, banner, or Monty, you can plug your stuff right now.
What they're gonna call Trick, just Trick, like take Trick Williams away. I definitely can see that happening. Anyway, at Mind Monty with a Y, Monty. My Monty Pod on Twitter. I just dropped my latest podcast episode where we kind of take a detour into wrestling, but then also into music. I even reviewed Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal video. It is hilarious. The 9-minute version is crazy. I did not realize how much stuff I missed in that video. But yeah, he made movies, you guys. Come listen to me review that and have fun on my latest episode. At My Monty Pod on Twitter. You can click the link in my bio, my link tree, or you can just look up Mind of Monty on any of your favorite podcasting services that you use. So thank you.
Excellent. They'll probably call him Trickinson because
Yeah, man. They're gonna ruin it, man.
Definitely. Also on Facebook and Instagram. Across all Google platforms, send us an email at WNR418@gmail.com and YouTube, Podcast, where we'll let clips and podcasts at the same time. YouTube, and do SoundCloud on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. And of course, we'll be back next month for NXT Update. But the next episode is the WNR 7-year anniversary podcast. Who would have ever believed it? And of course, Monty, hopefully you'll be there along with Gina and Jaxie and maybe a couple other surprise guests. And we'll be looking towards the future. We are going to do a top 10 stars of the future on the anniversary show. But until then, I have been James Rowlands, and I was joined. Yes, you have to look. I was joined by Monty, and again, it's always a pleasure, never a chore to have you on for NXT Update.
Yeah, always fun. Like I said, always good to get back into this, catch up with everything that's going on. Even if the shows are brutal, we try to give you guys a fun show talking about that brutal show.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Adios.